New Disabled South presents.
So I had to do an appeal. I had to have someone come down from Baton Rouge to actually verify, to come in my home to see if I was disabled and to make sure that I was not making up my disability.
In Louisiana, over 13,000 people wait for home and community-based services, some for nearly 4 years. There, a yellow piece of paper can mean the difference between life and death. At 27, after a nervous breakdown and 2 stays in a mental health facility, a nurse handed Rickii resources scribbled on a yellow paper. That single act of kindness launched a decade-long journey from patient to advocate, until the very system she mastered betrayed her. This is a story about what happens when survival requires becoming an expert in the bureaucracy designed to exclude you. When Black disabled women must prove their humanity again and again. When even success can't protect you from institutional collapse. Rickii learned the rules, built the networks, helped hundreds navigate the maze, until her executive director allegedly stole the money and the organization went bankrupt. Then 3 parishes lost their only lifeline. This terrible chain of events added to a crisis in a state already failing its most vulnerable citizens. I'm Stacey Abrams, and this is Dual, the True Cost of Care.
Dual, the True Cost of Care. It's highly insulting.
Rickii's story began where so many do, in crisis. At 27, after Hurricane Katrina scattered her family across the country and a toxic relationship finally ended, she found herself in a mental health care facility twice.
So I was about 27 years old, and I stayed in a mental facility twice because I had a nervous breakdown from a long relationship that just ended badly.
In a state where mental health professionals are already scarce, where entire regions are designated as shortage areas, Rickii was lucky to get a bed at all. Before Katrina, family had always been there. After, everyone was just trying to survive.
Prior to Hurricane Katrina, my family had taken care of me, and then I was in a relationship, so my ex would help me out, and it was just an all hands on deck type of thing. But after he and I broke up, and this is after Katrina, my family's scattered all over the country. I have family in Arkansas. I have family outside of the country, period. Everybody's just trying to survive and make it on their own.
But on her second stay, one nurse changed everything.
One of the nurses gave me a piece of paper. It was yellow, I'll never forget. And they had resources on the back that she had written down herself. And one of them was the Advocacy Center, which is now known as Disability Rights Louisiana.
That yellow paper led to a woman named Jean Aberly, who told Rickii about home and community-based services. These were support services she'd never heard of, despite being disabled since birth.
John was my saving grace. I told her my story, everything that was going on, and she said, well, you can apply for home and community-based services. And I said, what is that? Because I had never heard of that before.
But even with an advocate's help, the system demanded proof of what anyone could see. She joined thousands of other Louisianans waiting for services that could mean the difference between independence and institutionalization. The list, which keeps growing, numbered more than 13,000 in 2023.
So I went down to the office to go fill out my paperwork, and I was actually denied for services. And I'm like, I don't understand. Jean told me this is services for people with disabilities. Why am I not able to get these services? Well, the letter came back and said that I had to prove that I was disabled, which I'm physically disabled. You can see it. And I had to prove that I didn't have what they call natural supports.
The state sent someone from Baton Rouge to verify Rickii wasn't gaming the system, despite having already shown up in person to qualify.
That within itself took my self-esteem down to an all-time low because I felt like this has to be a joke. Why am I going through all of this for something that I desperately need? Obviously, I need it desperately because I'd had a breakdown because I didn't know who was going to take care of me, how I was going to get through my day-to-day activities.
Years later, Social Security would demand the same degrading performance.
First of all, it's insulting. It's highly insulting. I had a paper from Social Security and said I had 30 days to meet with a doctor that they had chosen to go and visit him and get basically a once-over to make sure that I had a disability. When I walked into the room, the doctor was so heated. He said, "They made you come here for this?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Now I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do." He said, so sit up, and I had to do the little knee thing back and forth. He checked my ears and all the good stuff. And he says, "I'm gonna write a note so detailed to them that they are never going to bother you again." And he said, "I apologize that they had you come out here because that whole day I was upset. My anxiety was through the roof because I'm like, what if he doesn't see me fit? The state already saw me not fit. So what if he sees me not fit in order to get the services that I need? My Social Security is the way that I survive." So, luckily he did what he was supposed to do, and they've never asked me to verify my disability again. And that was just 3 or 4 years ago. I'm 46. I've been having a disability since birth. It's on my records.
I would be dead.
At Families Helping Families of New Orleans, she served 3 parishes, areas already struggling with healthcare access.
So, assisting other folks who may not know where to start, I did what I saw with me. I just repeated what I saw. So, I would refer those people to Disability Rights Louisiana. We would connect them with someone at my Metropolitan Human Service Districts and authorities. And then my job was to keep up with that person. I would always tell them, here is my cell phone number. I would have a Google Voice number. Here's my cell phone number. And if you need something, you can call me when I'm off.
She made it personal, made it human. In a state where connections mean everything, she became the link others desperately needed.
If it was something critical for me, once again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'd call somebody and say, hey, this person is struggling and this person needs help right now. This person's kid doesn't have a ramp for the house because it was destroyed by such and such.
She knew exactly what was at stake because she'd been there.
To be quite honest, when I was in that space at 27, and had I not had that woman stand beside me and tell me, you can do this, I would be dead. I attempted suicide once and thought about doing it again, which is why I ended up in the hospital the second time.
The daily reality of needing total care isn't abstract for Rickii. At 45, she's never touched her own hair, never washed her own face.
45 years old, and I've never touched my hair a day in my life. I've never touched my face. So that means somebody has to do what? They have to comb my hair, they have to wash my face. When you have to worry about who's gonna comb your hair, when you have to worry about who's gonna get you dressed and if they're gonna do it properly, when you have to worry about, oh, my leg is hurting really bad today, but I have something to do and I need assistance up and down the stairs, that is a lot to think about.
When terms like fraud, waste, and abuse, or trying to rig the system, are thrown about like indictments, too often, Rickii's reality is what they mean. In a world designed for the abled, the level of suspicion of disabled people is appalling because the benefits on the other side are not luxuries, they're basic necessities.
I didn't go without anything, but as an adult, it's a huge struggle. If we lose these services, we are screwed. We have to ask for permission to do everything. Everything. You're not living as a real adult.
Having navigated the gauntlet of suspicions, suddenly those services were threatened, not by policy changes, but by betrayal.
Because I don't work in the disability community anymore. I was basically forced out because my former executive director allegedly was taking money from the organization and we went bankrupt. Everything was free lunches, everything was taken care of. All you had to do is show up or click the button on Zoom to participate. 3
parishes, thousands of disabled people and their families. All the workshops, webinars, and health classes abruptly gone. The bridge Rickii built, burned by someone else's greed. In a state where over 13,000 people already wait years for services, losing community organizations like this creates catastrophic gaps.
Big, beautiful bill.
When we spoke with Rickii, she was terrified of what was coming.
What is it called? Big Beautiful Bill?
Big Beautiful Bill.
Yeah, and it terrifies the hell out of all of us because we don't know what's going to happen.
The Republican Party's massive tax cuts and healthcare destroying legislation, championed by Trump and passed by his cronies in the House and Senate, has now been signed into law. The legislation includes sweeping tax changes and devastating cuts to poverty programs, pouring more into the wealthiest Americans at the expense of those who rely on social welfare services. Disability advocates and health economists understand it could shutter hospitals and gut safety net programs, Medicaid included. When Rickii spoke with us, the details were still murky, but the impacts are becoming clearer each day. The fear is real. For disabled people who've watched benefits get slashed before, uncertainty itself is a weapon. Louisiana isn't just vulnerable, it is completely reliant. 1 in 3 residents depend on Medicaid. Almost half of Louisiana's population was enrolled in the program by 2023. Now, federal cuts could cost the state up to $35 billion over the next decade, including $4 billion in just the next fiscal year. These losses come on top of existing trauma. Families are still reeling from Jindal-era Medicaid cuts and waiver caps, and many rural hospitals and community health centers, including 33 facilities across Louisiana, are now at risk of closure. That means over 200,000 Louisianans, many of them dually eligible just like Rickii, could lose coverage entirely by 2034, while behavioral health treatment and long-term care for thousands hang in the balance.
And I will break it down in a way for them to understand, to be best supportive of them, to meet people where they are and explain the information so everyone can know what's going on and let them know that where they can get help at. But I don't even have that information anymore, and I feel so out of the loop.
Without her organization, without her position, Rickii is discovering what so many disabled people in Louisiana already know. Information is currency, and poverty means being kept in the dark. But she's not giving up. She's mastered tools others don't even know exist, like ABLE accounts that let disabled people save money without losing benefits. She's maintained the network she built over a decade of advocacy, and she's still fighting.
But there's a problem with people working in the system for so long to where they're just jaded to everything. And it's just like, yes, no. It's almost like a factory setting that people are on. They're not actually having a human connection with a person to really find out their stories, really find out what it is that they need and see how to best serve them.
The system that failed her still needs her expertise. She intends to be the one to remind everyone that behind every application is a human being in crisis, one of 692,000 Americans waiting for the care that could keep them out of institutions.
I don't want to be disabled. I am disabled. So if there are services that are out there for me and I qualify for them, please don't give me the hassle that you did. Like, I should have never experienced that.
Rickii shows what's possible when someone has the knowledge and support to navigate dual eligibility. But she also shows us why no one should have to become an expert in order to survive.
That yellow piece of paper.
From a yellow piece of paper in a mental health facility to becoming the lifeline for 3 parishes, from attempting suicide to saving others from the same despair, Rickii's journey through Louisiana's dual eligibility system is both a success story and an indictment. She succeeded because one nurse cared enough to write down resources, because one advocate believed her, because one doctor got angry enough at the system to protect her from it, because she built a network in a state where who you know determines whether you live or die. But now her organization is gone. 3 parishes sit without services, adding to Louisiana's crisis where thousands already wait years for care. This terrible bill has become law, its full impact on disabled lives still unfolding. And Rickii, who knows the system better than most, is terrified. This is dual eligibility in Louisiana, where race too often determines access, where proving your disability is a never-ending saga, where even expertise can't protect you from institutional collapse, where the average person waits nearly 4 years for the services that keep them out of nursing homes, where survival may depend on a single yellow piece of paper if you're lucky enough to get one. Rickii was lucky. She knows it. She spent a decade trying to be that yellow piece of paper for others, until the system that barely saved her let greed destroy what she built. They made her prove she was human. She spent a decade proving to others that they were too.
For anyone watching it, whether you're non-disabled or disabled, no matter what background you come from, just know to always fight for what you believe in. Always have hope within yourself and have as much confidence as you can in yourself. Learn as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. If you don't know, ask somebody. Someone will be able to help you. Be proud of who you are. Shine like the person that you're supposed to be. Don't let all of this take away from all of you.
In Louisiana, where providers are scarce and waiting lists stretch for years, every lost organization, every closed center, every stolen dollar costs lives. Rickii survived, but without action and advocates like her, too many others won't. Join us next time as we travel to Virginia, where the gaps between promise and reality grow even wider, and where survival itself becomes an act of resistance.
To learn more about Dual, the true cost of care, tell your Dual eligibility story, or to get involved, visit dualcostofcare.com.